Welcome to the official 6th episode of the podcast with Squaw. This will be my 4th episode with Squaw, and with me is, Irish 2K.
Hey, what up, everybody?
And for the first time ever, my close friend, I guess I'm just going to call you Feeler, because that's how I know you.
That's okay, that's what I'm used to hearing out of your mouth.
Alright, so, Irish 2K and Feeler, we are going to be discussing on tonight's episode, appropriately labeled Netflix and Chill, our Netflix original TV shows. So, why don't we hit it off with Irish?
All right, so we're talking about our favorites.
Yeah, favorite two, and then we have a final surprise episode or show that we'd all like to discuss because it was on all of our lists. So why don't you go ahead and give us what you got?
Absolutely. So I don't think you can talk about Netflix original programming and not bring up Orange is the New Black. Probably, I personally think one of the best shows as far as development, storytelling, and comedy aspects, but also the drama side. The only downside I can even mention about the show is that it just wrapped up its 4th season. The downside is each season that followed the first season got a little less entertaining. I will say this 4th season was probably my second favorite. The first season being the first, obviously, yeah. But if you haven't watched it, it's a 4-season show so far about a woman who basically committed crimes or was associated with committed crimes and is now facing jail time, and the whole show is just about life in a women's prison. And also the individual storytelling for all the people in the prison. They didn't really start talking about the individual prisoners until the 3rd and 4th season, but that first season they focused a lot on the main character. But it's a good show overall. It's funny, and of course if you like lesbian sex scenes, it's chock full of them. And then my other show is F is for Family. This is an animated series. Bill Burr, hands down my favorite comedian, best comedian. He has spent 3 specials talking about how 85% of this country's population needs to be obliterated. You can't disagree with that, especially since we'd probably make it just off this show alone. No, F is for Family. It's basically a family in Philadelphia back in, I would say, based on the show, it's probably the early 80s. And you kind of get to see, the job environment back then, how people acted, but also you get to see a real, true vision of what Bill Burr's comedy is. And it's only a few. I think it's I want to say 6 episodes, but
pretty short.
They're hilarious. It's an opening. It's first season of the show, so I imagine if they bring it back for season 2, which still it has been renewed, they just don't know when. I imagine probably December, because that's when the last season came out. They're probably going to up the show season number probably up to 13. But it's hilarious. It's worth your time. If you like vulgarity, plenty of that. But yeah, those are 2 shows that I personally that stand out to me as far as original Netflix programming.
That's cool.
Yeah. I did not see F is for Family, but at 6 episodes, I think it'd be worth a try.
Yeah,
but I have plenty to say as Orange is the New Black, but
yep.
I felt like Anthony was about to say something.
No, I was going to bring up Orange is the New Black too. What do you have to say about it?
I think I agree that not every episode is not every season is equal, but I think the story as a whole is still developing, and I'm not really ready to say that one season's worse than the other until I see the last season.
Did you hear the news that they got renewed for 5, 6, and 7?
I'm not surprised. I think you were totally right when you said we can't talk about Netflix without bringing up Orange is the New Black. It's not the first original series by Netflix, but it definitely is the most popular, and it reached the largest audience, in my opinion. What are we? We are 3 adult men talking about women's prison. I know there's an obvious reason why, and you brought it up, that's the lesbian sex scenes, but there's other things too, the character development. I mean, the characters are just so great. I love every character. I can identify with all these women, you know. It's awesome.
Can I just take a moment here and laugh to myself at the fact that whoever the hell was in Discord just spammed something that said www. So while Feeler was talking, some asshat just whatever. I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I do agree that the first season really brought in the show as, like, at first you're just like, all right, where's this going? What are we watching? Like,
I was just interested to see women in prison at that point.
Well, and I still wonder after watching it, is that a realistic aspect of?
It's based off a book.
Oh, I mean, a book, like a fiction or nonfiction.
There are definitely points in the show when I'm like, this is not.
Oh yeah, they dramatize a lot of what how obviously
there's
to make
certain
the show
things
good.
that just couldn't really happen.
The whole aspect of the drug cartel people and stuff like that getting in and doing stuff. But the book itself is by Piper Kerman. That's the main character.
Oh yeah, interesting.
She's a real person, and she wrote the book, and then they made the show based on the book, and then obviously they make some artistic changes to make the show more interesting. But she's a part of the production team. But yeah, I mean it's a really interesting show. The first season you get more pulled into Piper's story. And then every season after that, I mean, season 1 you fall in love with all the characters in the prison, and then season 2,
backstory on it.
Exactly, like a very little.
They don't wrap it all up. Yeah.
I do like that it is a dramedy. I would like to say, in a whole, that's my favorite genre because most of the time, comedy's great at any moment because it's nice to laugh, but you always want like a sense of reality and like moral, or like there's a. What do you call it? Like some shows have, at the end of each episode, they kind of round out what they've learned in the episode and turn it into something real. Whereas this show does more than that. It kind of keeps it real throughout the whole show while staying on a level of humor that is, like, it doesn't make it just a strict drama like, say, House of Cards, which is a very good show and started Netflix off, but, you don't have to be in that mood to watch it. You can be in any mood and watch.
And I think that's why I still have not, and I'm ashamed to say this, I still have not started House of Cards because it's just when I come home and I want to watch a show, I don't want something too serious. And Orange Is the New Black, you're right. It was the best mixture between serious and not serious. It was like, this is real, and I enjoy the realness of it, but at the same time, I have a feel-good feeling at the end of my day when I'm winding down.
It's a mixture though, and that's one thing I love about it. Is not every episode ends with you feeling like, oh man, I love this show. Some of these episodes, they really tug at your fucking heartstrings, and it's like you really have to think about, do you care about these characters? Because it's the morality of it. It's like, these are women in prison. Some of these women have killed people.
Well, even at some point,
but you care about them, and it's the craziest thing, and it makes you question, like, do you think certain crimes
like Red,
like you legit
like Red,
legitimately have to consider, in a lot of people's cases, like Red is one of the most loved characters, but she's in prison for murdering someone. Like, she killed a person.
And she was hiding bodies in her freezer. You learn that later. Well, I'm going to stop talking because I don't want to spoil it.
If you haven't seen it yet, shame on you. That's all I'm going to say. Shame on you. You're a horrible person.
But we do want people to feel free to watch it and not judge. We don't want to put up their defenses. Like, everybody should watch this, even if you haven't gotten to it yet. Watch it.
So if you're going to do a staycation, get a Netflix, get a free month, and you'll thank us later.
I do want to say,
you'll finish it in 3 days.
Yeah, no doubt.
I thought it was interesting that by season 4, this is how I felt. I didn't give a crap about Piper at all. Like, she started to piss me off at one point.
She faded into the background in season 3.
But that was cool because then you got to learn about all the other stuff that was going on. So they weren't side characters; they're all main characters, which is pretty cool.
That's an aspect of shows that will really draw me in. If it stays on one character the whole time, I can really kind of get over the show pretty fast. Like, I like to see many different stories, and that's why I think TV shows have developed into something better than movies at this point, is because you have the option to just watch all these characters develop, and you can't do that in a movie. You're limited to like 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that Netflix gives you the capability of that no other, no TV station, no subscription other than Netflix can do, maybe except Hulu, is like a movie, you can watch it all right now. Like, you don't have to wait. And that's, I think,
I'm a binge watcher.
Well, that's also problematic because I'll go through the entire series of, say, Daredevil, which is what I'm going to talk about next, but
2 days.
In like 2 days, yeah. But go on.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's something that Netflix is unique for. Like, Hulu, yes, has it. They have their own original program. It doesn't even compare. But like, Netflix is way better. But that's one of the things that you just kind of going off your point about movies was like the reason why people some like Batman vs Superman. I talked about it in the very first episode how people said like they rushed the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well,
you don't have time.
This isn't a 13 episode season of a show. This is a an hour and 45-minute movie, or a little over 2 hours actually, where they're trying to tell one of the greatest comic book stories ever, and they have to do it in a 2 hour. They have a time span they have to fill, or fit in rather.
Yeah, the same Titanic.
And that's why I think
the New Black can spend an episode
quality writing is not. Quality writing in the future is not going to be when it's dramatized. It's not going to be put towards movies anymore. It's going to be put towards TV. And
all the big actors that you've seen on TV in the past, they're all coming to TV. I mean, not all, but
me personally, if TV was still at the point it was 10 years ago, where you had to wait to watch your favorite show, and you couldn't just like hold on a minute and wait till it comes on Netflix or something, then I wouldn't even be watching half these shows, because I'm sit down, I'm going to get this done with, and then I'm going to go. I do other things. I can't come home to be 5 o'clock. I got to watch this show. That's not my life.
Yeah, we gotta keep moving. I think we're So Fila, you wanted to go last?
Yep.
All right. Well, first show I guess I will talk about.
Urban just hear himself talk. Go.
No, come on, man. I'm trying to.
Is this one of those parts that we edit?
Oh no. I mean, if he edits it, I won't.
Well, my two are Wet Hot American Summer. For what is it? First day at camp. Jesus, I can't remember the
day of camp.
There you go. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while since it came out, but I will say, since no one else chose it, I did really like that show, and the cast was unbelievable. So remember how we were talking about earlier, the voice of, he's basically in like everything.
Master Shake, yeah.
No, not the other guy I was talking about. I wish I could remember. You know what? Here, let me real quick. His name is H. John Benjamin.
Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Yeah.
All that, yeah. So he's in it. You got Bradley Cooper. There's everyone in it, and it's not. It is stupid funny, but it's the right kind of stupid funny. It's not so stupid that you're banging your head against the wall while you're watching it, wishing you never turned it on. It's like, oh my god, this is totally a throwback to these movies that we watched as children. Well, that you and I and Feeler possibly watched.
No, it was children. Literally a spin-off of the movie Wet Hot American Summer.
Really? I never saw that, actually.
Oh my goodness. Huh. Okay, well, first of all, we'll talk about that.
I didn't see it either, so this is an educating moment.
Yes.
Yeah, that movie was, I think, 90s. Paul Rudd's in it. I mean, a lot of famous actors now.
So he was in that and this?
Yeah. The whole TV show was the spin-off of the movie. So now you've watched the show. Now you have to go back and watch the movie, and I bet everything that you kind of chuckled at, you're gonna be like, oh my god, I get it now.
I couldn't get through the whole thing, honestly. And I think if I watched that movie, then I'd probably be able to watch the series and find it 10 times as funny.
I will ask you just to be just the right amount of intoxicated. That's all I'm going to say.
So
you will appreciate it that much more.
So the other show I wanted to bring up real fast, which I hope someone has something to say about, because
you don't have to bring it up fast. Just talk about it.
All right, calm down.
Because I'll talk about it, man.
Daredevil!
Wait. What did he say?
Marvel's Daredevil! Yeah. Daredevil was, oh my god, that was it for me, like, finally. All these,
the best.
Well, so
version,
Marvel and DC are both killing it right now. Well, Marvel controls the movie industry. Then DC came out with all these different, shows like Arrow, Flash, Legend of Tomorrow, Gotham, so on. Oh, Supergirl. But all of a sudden comes Daredevil on Netflix, and Netflix is allowed to do basically whatever the hell they want.
Whatever they want.
Yes.
And I'm gonna talk about that later in the show.
So the fact that that's true just made this so. They really took like the grit of, say, like think like the Dark Knight meets Fight Club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I like that comparison.
I love the fact that they and not only that, but they brought a realistic enough aspect to the show where you're like, wow, that's something that I could possibly believe could happen possibly. You know what I mean? It's not like you're watching the old Batman movies and you're just like, wait, so Mr. Freeze is Arnold, and
there's a lot of
saying
I will say
old
this about
and then
Batman.
saying Arnold and Mr. Freeze you're talking about. That's not very
that's not fair to Batman. Don't do that to Batman. Don't use
But
Arnold's
you see the
character.
point.
We talked about that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I brought it up, because we've talked about that before and how cheesy it can be, where this is the opposite of cheesy. This was complete epic. I mean, it was just...
I'll say this: when they announced that they were going to do this, I was very excited, because right off the bat, there was no like, they could do whatever they wanted and it would be the best show ever, because the Daredevil it was going to be compared to set the bar low that no one's even holding the bar; it's just on the floor. All they had to do was step over the bar, and they made a better show. Like, They picked the perfect guy to play Matt Murdock and Charlie Cox.
Yes.
Are you saying that Ben Affleck was not a good
Absolutely not. Yes, he was awful.
I'm going to say the guys who directed that film made Ben Affleck look like a bad Daredevil, because Ben Affleck is a fantastic actor, and he just made Batman look fantastic. So I'm not going to say anything else. Charlie Cox, fantastic for Matt Murdock. He got the whole character down, the way he talked, his the cocky confidence.
I really liked his character. Like,
and it's something that they're steering away from, that the movie just like, oh my god, the movie threw it down your throat, was his vision, or I say that with quotes because it's not true vision, where in the movie they showed like the sound wave thing. They like spent, I swear to God, I have to check it, but there's got to be like 30 minutes of footage of just sound waves, and then like the rain kissing.
Oh God!
Why try and visualize what isn't visual?
That's the thing about the show that's another thing. It's like, and I
confirmed to my wife. It is visual. That's what I also liked.
They showed it one time, and they even had the name of the episode is
City on Fire.
World on Fire.
And
they show it for like 15 seconds, and they never show it again, not even in the second season.
Yep.
And it's in a time of desperate.
No. It just kind of shows you what he
he's talking
sees.
to Rosario Dawson.
Yep.
And they're just kind of communicating about
Another great actress.
And he just tells her like what it looks like for him, and then they show it just for 15 seconds, and then you never see it again. And the reason I hated it at first, I was so mad. I was like, I want to see this. It's like one of the greatest things about him. And then I was like, oh wait, they've given you the template of what it looks like. Mm-hmm. Now they're letting you imagine what it looks like every episode after. And you're right. It's better to just in your head be craving what that looks like, and in your head you're like, oh my god, I bet that looks so cool, and then you just keep watching.
It's the same reason why reading a book sometimes is better than
using your Mac. I do also want to say one more thing. Oh, go ahead, finish.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
honestly, I didn't have a very good point. Continue.
Well, no, you're right. I mean, when you read a book, it's all up to you, and that's what makes a book good, is because you're not told what it is. You get to see it for yourself and make it what you want it to be, So you're right in that sense. But also, the only other point I wanted to make before you can talk about whatever you want to talk about Daredevil is, what I also loved about Daredevil is, well, first of all, the second season was astonishing. Like, it was amazing. It was great. And it introduces one of my favorite...
what has to become a new show.
Well, no, it is going to be...
It's already.
It's already.
They announced it's already going to be
dude,
something.
the Punisher, and not only... I mean, so I will say the movie The Punisher was actually pretty darn good, but the way they got what's his name? The guy who played Shane in
Jon Bernthal.
Jon Bernthal.
Fantastic actor.
I actually like his Punisher more than the movie. I like
absolutely.
How he portrayed it a lot more than the movie. He reminds me of actual guys that I know who would develop that kind of personality after service.
Well, yeah, probably. And
because Tom Jane was a victim of the movie limits.
The writing,
you can only do
time frame.
I agree.
You can only do so much.
Apples and oranges. Yeah.
That guy is a good actor.
They just hit the main points. They hit the skull logo. They hit the black gear. They hit the guns.
They hit the minigun, dude.
And then that's it. I mean, that's what they did with the movie. And then
you're talking about the movie. Sorry.
Yeah, the movie. They really they summed up him in. They had to do it so fast that your head was spinning, and that while also telling the story, of this other character and of John Travolta's character, and how Punisher played him against himself and everything like that. But a lot of people were like, "Man, you left so much on the table with Punisher. You didn't touch this, you didn't touch this." It's like, Jesus Christ, they only had an hour and a half. They can't do everything.
That's why I used to go to the movies every Friday, and now it's like I don't even go to the movies. TV shows are where the quality stuff is now, because you can actually see the story. It's not just about explosions and whatnot. You can actually there's development, there's story.
Well, the last movie I saw was Suicide Squad, and although it was good. Whatever, but
I haven't watched it yet.
Hey, hold on. What's the number one complaint with that movie so far?
I would say the ending.
I haven't watched
the ending.
Well, no, that's not what I've heard. The most complaints I've heard consistently is the limit of Joker.
Yeah, but he'll be back.
Well, that's just because everybody's all into Joker. They want to make him the main character of everything.
But if you had 13 episodes, you know what I mean?
So
then you could focus in on a
story. Back to the topic. The one last reason that I really like Daredevil...
You brought it back to the topic there.
One last reason that I really thought Daredevil did such a good job is since it was the first Marvel Netflix original and they wanted to do more, because it did so well, not only did we get Jessica Jones, not only are we going to get the Punisher, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, but we're now going to get the Defenders, which is basically like Marvel's Avengers, but way cooler, because of what Netflix can do, I think it will be way cooler. And it's a TV show, which means they aren't limited to time and what we've been talking about. I think that's just incredible.
Well, here's going to be your main differences between Avengers, the movie, and the Defenders Netflix TV show. Obviously, right off the bat, the grit and the vulgar for Defenders is going to be on an all-time high. And Avengers has Disney on there. So they can't do much of anything in certain areas. But to be fair, those aren't characters that were known for vulgarity. So it kind of works for the Avengers. Yeah. Thor wasn't around throwing around the F word. Tony Stark, all those guys, they didn't do that. But, Punisher, the dude's name is Punisher. I don't have to go any further. Daredevil, his name is Devil. Iron Fist, it's like he's punching the crap out of somebody. Yeah. Jessica Jones, if you haven't watched that show, they hit one of the most iconic moments in the comic book in the show. Please watch it. And what's his face from Doctor Who's in it? So
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh God, I can't remember his name.
I can't either. I said Doctor Who though, so that should at least get 5 people to watch it.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Felix.
I just want to say that watching Daredevil is what opened me up to watching The Flash and all these other shows that were comic book based TV series. At first I thought, those are going to be shitty, low production. I don't want to watch them. But when I watched Daredevil, I was like, wow, this is so much better than any comic book movie that I've seen.
Oh yeah.
I have to watch this, so I watched Flash. I started Arrow. I honestly didn't finish that. I started Jessica Jones as well. I'm definitely waiting on Punisher and more seasons of
Daredevil.
Daredevil, yeah.
I'll say this, man. The way Netflix does shows, and the reason why I was so happy that our first TV show episode would be about Netflix shows was because, they just raise the bar, man, and they don't have the limitations. And I was going to save this for the end of the show, but I'll just bring it up now. It just makes you think of all the shows that you love on other networks, that if Netflix was able to get their hands on it, would be 10 times better. I'm talking about The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, you guys love Preacher. I'm sure Preacher would be, even Preacher's like,
it's pretty.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine what Netflix would do with it? Like, it wouldn't even be a show to be like, you wouldn't even be able to put that on TV if Netflix got their hands on it. But like, it's just, there's so many Netflix has done so much, from going to, they used to just be the Blockbuster substitute, and now they're probably the greatest original programming forum. And the build up for the future, like 2017 is going to be phenomenal. Like, there's so much coming out in 2017. It just, you can't get your hands on it fast enough.
Yeah. So, Feeler, what were your 2 shows?
First is another show that I think, and this is a little different because it's not an original Netflix series. It's something that they kind of picked up and continued, and it's Arrested Development. Arrested Development, I feel like, is one of those shows that everybody needs to watch, and not everybody does watch it, but just a kind of a synopsis. You've got and this is going to scare some people, you've got a really rich family who is rich through corruption, and they get caught up, and that's
but only known by the father and mother.
Well, until the start of like the first.
Yeah.
So, and then it's them trying to rebuild when the father's in prison and the mother's an alcoholic, and these are spoiled children who they don't know how to live real life except for one son trying to hold them together.
Yeah.
And it's
what
just,
they say in the intro.
Yeah, that is what they say. See, I fell asleep to this for so many days that it's just built into my head. But I mean, the show is the characters are ridiculous, but they're still lovable and real in their own way. I mean, you can watch this dramatized version of one character, and you'll think of somebody in your own life, but don't tell them, because there'll be an insult with every character. This is Michael Cera,
that's what started him off, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, this is what started him off, and this is the character he just can't seem to get away from. But it was a good character for him, honestly. And it's just packed full of really good actors and actresses. It's just
I was gonna say, like, Jason
Arnett,
Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like him in that a lot more than.
Look at his time frame, like in his acting career time frame. Arrested Development came, like, he was already in some movies.
Yeah.
But it was like that show kicked off, and then he started getting like major.
Oh, he's one of my favorite actors
films.
Because of it. I mean, he's,
absolutely.
I feel like people avoid Arrested Development for the same reason people avoid Wes Anderson films, and it kind of seems at first glance that it only appeals to people, to privileged people. But when you watch it, like, anyone can relate, because they were a privileged family, but they're in a situation now where they're basically living like squatters.
But
so
you're missing the best part of the show, which is not a second goes by in that show where one thing could not be connected to another, and it's all hilarious. Like, the amount of reconnecting one point to it. You hear something obscure, all of a sudden 10 minutes later you're like, oh, that's hilarious. Like, it's all so intertwined.
And that's what makes good comedy.
Oh, it's so good.
It's like when a comedian waits until like 15 minutes later to bring up another joke, and the punchline it's like 2 punchlines in once, and that's what this show does. Time after time, every episode, multiple times. You're right. That's spot on.
You know what I'll say? I'll say Arrested Development kind of laid the foundation for shows like Modern Family to exist, even though they were on separate networks.
No, you know that one of the writers on Arrested Development actually ended up on Family Guy.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
so,
I will
there you go.
say
And that's where those
Modern Family
flashbacks come from.
Very entertaining, but it's just not. It doesn't have the same.
No.
It's
nowhere near
as
good.
Arrested Development
as Arrested Development.
But so the reason you get those side stories or the flashbacks, you know, like when Peter would say, "Well, that reminds me of the time when blah blah blah," and then it would go to. Well, that's exactly what happens in Arrested Development. And that's
so
where
that
they
actually came from Arrested Development.
I believe that is how it all started.
I don't know about that one.
You should look
Family Guy's
into
been
it,
around
Family Guy's been around since like the late 90s.
Well, then maybe I have it backwards. Maybe a writer from Family
2000s,
Guy,
late 2000s.
Maybe a writer from Family Guy went to Arrested Development. Maybe
I don't know. We'd have to watch Family Guy from the beginning to see when those flashback things start happening. Because you're right,
from
they
the very
do it
first
in both
episode.
shows.
They did it
Very
in the
first
first
episode.
episode.
The Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah.
The Kool-Aid Man. There you go.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But anyway, I could have had that backward. But I know that one writer is on both of those shows.
Hey man, well, either way, both shows are fantastic.
Well, Family Guy
Arrested
was good
Development.
until season 4, but whatever. That's personal opinion.
Urban, I don't want to get into a verbal altercation with you, sir.
I'm
just gonna move past that comment.
Arrested Development.
Yeah. What's your other show?
Was a good show. Everybody should watch Arrested Development, and I feel like they kind of wrapped it up, but they left it open on the last season. I would like to see more, but honestly, I would say that even if they wrapped it up completely, they could do 10 seasons, and I'd still be like, what's happening to old Michael Cera? Anyways, my second one, and I know I said I was going to do something else, it's actually Sense8, because no one has talked about Sense8 yet. Have you guys all seen Sense8?
Almost
I
want to
watch it so bad.
Almost done.
Oh God, you got to watch Sense8. So I said earlier, I don't know if this was before we actually started recording or not. I love shows where you get to watch multiple characters, and you get to see multiple characters develop. Like we talked, Orange is the New Black, and how you get to see the backstories to all these people. Sense8, it's like that is what
every
they were
character is a main
about.
character.
Yeah, so you're watching every character develop, and you're also watching as these characters' stories intertwine, and it's not intertwining in like in the standard way. And I'll leave that up to the first episode to explain to whoever's listening to me. But it's just what it sounds like. You have so many senses, and you've heard of The Sixth Sense, the movie. Well, Sense8 is a little different. It's like you have another what's the word I'm looking for? Another sense, and that's basically it's empathy, but it's very specific empathy, and it just sets up like some really interesting scenes. Like there's one scene when all the characters kind of have a physical moment together, even though they're on totally different sides of the planet, and the way that they depict that is just so awesome. I really don't want to go into too much because I feel like just watching the first couple episodes will.
Can I say one thing though about that? So I think I'm on like episode 5 or 6 or
How could
whatever.
you not finish it by now? Come on, man.
Because here's my main problem with it. The only problem, because I do agree it's an amazing show. However, I feel like I don't know where they're going. Like, okay, I like what's going on.
You're 5 episodes in.
But what's the... Yeah, and I'm still struggling to see, like, what is the ultimate antagonist? You know what I mean? Like, other than this doctor guy who doesn't really come up much yet.
And I watched this show, like, probably a year ago, so I might be a little off, but my understanding of the show is that the world was the antagonist. That the world was forcing all these people apart and causing all this conflict, and that this Sense8... this doctor you speak of wanted this conflict for personal gain, and that this Sense8, this group, was going to come together in order to bring, in order to help everyone. They were going to make empathy, like if everybody developed this sense, then everybody would be able to understand each other in another way. So I think the end point, and I don't know because I'm 1 season in, and it's clearly going to be more than 1 season. The end point is that developing this sense of empathy is going to change the world, and I don't know if it is supposed to be like good wins against evil or what. I don't know yet, but the first season left it open, and it was very interesting.
Well, from what I've seen, it looks like like you said, they basically these 8 strangers.
Totally not connected.
They're kind of living their own lives, and then obviously the death of this other person, kind of puts them all into this emotional and mental state of being able to feel and communicate with with one another, and kind of live each other's lives almost in the same time. And obviously, I think early on you have to explain the complications with it. It's like you're trying to live your own life, and then all of a sudden you're feeling and dealing with this other thing in your head. But then obviously from the trailers that I've watched, it looks like it builds up to where something is after them, and they have to,
I'm hoping they end up teaming up.
So I'm just remembering one scene right now when you're trying to describe living somebody's life while living your own life, and this is very interesting, and it might really give somebody an idea of what the show's about. There's one scene where there's a Mexican actor who...
Oh, the guy.
So,
yes.
well, don't give too many...
the guy.
There's a Mexican actor who has a scene where he is going to have to fight, like in his show or movie, whatever he's in.
Oh, yes.
And he's got to fight these guys, but he's not really that good, and then he taps into the psyche of one or the other. I can't remember if it was somebody who was doing kung fu or somebody who was actually a gangster. I can't remember, but he ends up doing the scene so well because he doesn't necessarily lose control of his body, but somebody else is
someone else helps him
doing all the moving parts. They make the choreography 10 times better than it would have been if that Mexican choreographer had designed the scene. And that's just that's one of the opening things. Like, that's when you're first developing these skills or whatever. When they're first developing these skills, that's what happens. So what happens actually later past that is even crazier, where somebody can have multiple helpers within their own mind while they're trying to complete a task for their own life.
Well, Feeler, I was like 75% sure I was gonna watch it. So after hearing you explain it, I'm all in. I'm gonna.
And I didn't even say anything. I just
no. Your explanation of it, I never thought of it from that perspective. Obviously you get the synopsis from the internet or whatever, but no, I'm being dead honest, man. Your description of that makes me want to watch that shit right now. But I'll wait. I'll be patient.
No. Let's stop this right here.
Let me pause the video. Hang on, guys. We gotta go watch some stuff.
Let's not talk about the show where we've all been waiting to talk about.
Oh yeah.
So
the show that I have 8 pages of notes on.
Yeah.
I did not get any notes, but I'm pretty sure if you say one thing, I'm gonna have to hold my tongue so I don't even.
Listen to this. I was 2 minutes in to this show, okay? And you'll obviously reveal.
And how long did it take me to convince you to freaking watch it finally?
Like 2 weeks.
So
exactly. 2 minutes into the show, I'm looking down. I'm in the middle of writing all these notes. I look over at my wife, who's sitting there with me. I'm like, I wish I was half as committed to writing notes about the show as I was writing notes in school. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not kidding. I have 8 full, top to bottom, left to right.
You showed me the pictures, dude.
What you actually got to say then is you wish you were half as dedicated to school as you were to this show.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify.
I'm abbreviating like what I meant, so that I'll know what this means. And then if I kind of have a flashback moment of me back in high school, I'll just whatever.
That's great.
I'll just steal some kid's notebook.
Let's announce what show it is. It is.
Go ahead.
It is. It's Stranger Things. Woo!
That was and once again, Anthony, I have to say the same thing. I was looking at it on net, and it was the first thing, when you open up your Netflix, it's right there. It's saying "Watch Me." Yep. It isn't anymore, but it was a second ago. and I kept ignoring it because I saw these kids, and then this mom with her mom haircut, and I'm like, this shit's like some Jumanji / what'd you say earlier? It's like Jumanji /
It's like Goonies. Yeah.
Goonies, yeah. And I just I couldn't get pulled into it. I wanted to watch something either funnier or a little more serious, but I didn't want to watch a kid's show. So when I'm looking at the entrance, I didn't watch it until Anthony said, "No, you have to watch it. You have to watch it." So I started it, and then I swear, I was too sleepy the first time, so I only watched an episode and a half, and then the next day I came back and I slept 3 hours that day because I watched the rest of that in one sitting. It was too good. I could not stop.
Let me just give the audience an idea of what this is, because
hold on,
so
real
far.
quick. Time out. If you're listening to this show and you have not watched Stranger Things,
pause the show.
Right.
Pause the show.
Spoil.
But wait,
the
before they
crap
pause
out
the
of it.
show,
Go
before they
watch
pause,
it in
hold
one
on,
sitting
hold on.
and come
Before they
back and
pause the
listen
show,
again.
we should at least give a genre and an idea of what they're expecting. Because as all you guys have said so far is, oh, it's like a combination of the Goonies and... No.
It's
No.
not.
No. Okay. It's about these kids who go through stuff, blah, 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 yes, but it is horror mixed with mystery, mixed with sci-fi, mixed with 80s. Like, straight up, legit, this is how 80s looks. 80s, like...
Yeah.
Oh my God!
And
And
just the kids riding their bikes made me want to be a kid in the 80s.
dude, it was like when I was watching what's that movie with the alien that touched fingers and said "Go home"? E.T. There we go. It was like the first time.
The most popular alien in the history of film.
It had that
which is
feel.
the start of like half the movies out there nowadays.
It had that feel of like I'm watching E.T. again. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's something that I wrote down is the show wanted you to have the 80s vibe, and they nailed it right off the first episode.
Like
they kind of
the music, the video.
But it's like they
quality,
did it like effortlessly, because every time you'd see something, you're like, oh my God, this is like Goonies, or oh my God, this is like E.T., or oh my God, this is like, and you could relate to so many films into this show, and the show had nothing to do with what any of those shows were about, or any of those movies were about.
There was just
there were 80s characters. There were like just the kid with the lisp.
Oh yeah. The fat kid who likes the older sister of his friend. Very stereotypical.
That's so classic.
Very classic.
It's not classic in a way like that's old. It's like it's like
classic.
It's nostalgia.
Yes.
It's like it's just awesome.
I was that boy. Not with the lisp, not that chubby, but I was that boy. You know, like, oh, my friend's older sister is super cute, and I got nothing.
Here's some pizza, chick.
But I wanted to say, like, before we get, because I want to hear your 8 pages of notes. I can't wait. So I'm gonna let you go last. I want me and
So
Taylor
are
to go
we
first.
officially saying spoiler alert?
This is actually,
I was literally watch it in one sitting.
I was gonna bring that. I was gonna say now I'm gonna go. I'm guessing we're all gonna go into some areas that mean you've either watched the show, or you haven't and you want to pause the show.
We're gonna spoil the hell out of it.
And spoil the living daylights out of it.
Yes.
But this show was okay. So literally, if you have not watched the show, please
give him a 3 second countdown. Give him a 3 second.
Here you go. I am going to start talking about Stranger Things in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, now.
Alien.
Yep. So there was just so much about, because I'm a fan of it because of the supernatural. Not even supernatural. It wasn't supernatural. It was a parallel universe that they called the Upside Down, which I thought was very creative, because it was here. It was right here where you and I are sitting, except it wasn't here. It was on this different. It was on this different plane of existence that still existed, but there was no door to get there until this little girl, had been messed up enough where, with experiments that all of a sudden this asshole scientist was like, all right, well, I know this is hard for you, but why don't you go see what that guy's talking about? Why don't you go give him a poke? And right when she touches him, that's when all of it happens. And I thought that was...
So my understanding of that, what you're talking about is, it was actually her psychic energy that created the force to open up the worlds.
Yep.
A
door.
And it was only because of the pain and the fear that she experienced when she actually
She was isolated. She was completely isolated. She had this fear. She was in complete blackness, and all she could see was this little thing on the other side. But that other side happened to be the one,
the Upside Down.
See, and what we know is it's the one creature living there, but what we forget, or what you may not have caught, is if you rewatch the show, or if you've watched YouTube videos or whatever. I've watched the show like 3 times now. I'm not even kidding. But there's a bunch of eggs throughout, kind of like the eggs from the movie Alien.
And when did Alien come out?
I mean,
no,
in the 80s.
No, Alien came out in the late 70s, actually. But
yeah,
Aliens,
that was my dad's favorite movie because that was the first time he saw a naked woman was in that.
But I want to say,
Sigourney Weaver.
Do you remember that scene where the sadly, amazingly friendly and sweet fat chick got taken?
Barb.
Yeah, Barb. Of
Dude,
course she's gonna die.
She
Her
was
name is
expendable.
Barb.
I'm sorry, but the way they wrote her character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
She was screwed the moment she was
not
friends
to
with that
say
girl.
that actual humans are expendable, but they were. When
story,
I realized that her when that little boy got taken in the first episode, I was like, no, that little boy's so cool. Why would they take that little boy? Now when she got taken, I'm like, okay, but is the little boy still alive?
Yeah, and for a while they had me, dude.
So
for a while they had me. I thought he was dead.
Well, if we're gonna talk about it like in that order, I'm gonna chime in as well. So, the first episode, like right off the bat, the Dungeon and Dragon scene,
very nice,
fantastic.
Yes. Because they even
and then they tied that into the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. How that
awesome.
You don't even know that they're foreshadowing. Like they're
legitimately
foreshading the whole
show
in
that
one scene.
That was great. That was the best part. Not the best, but that
the
was
demigod or demigod.
They had a bunch of something a tree. Oh God, I'm blanking on words right now. There were a bunch of signs that pointed to this is this and this is this. What is that?
Yeah.
Whatever. Yes, that game alone was like, foreshadowing. I guess you could say it's not what I'm. But yeah, it was.
So I'll just read some of my notes for that first episode, like leading into what we're talking about. First of all, Winona Ryder looks fantastic.
Yeah, I'm surprised, dude. She looks the way she did in Mr. Deeds. I was like, all right, cool.
Yes.
Thanks.
I wrote down Erdman looks like Steve.
Wait, I'm okay with that. The older brother?
No, Steve. That's Jonathan. Steve was
it.
the douche boyfriend
who became not douche. So I'm okay with
became
that.
Not douche. But,
You know who Steve reminded me of? At Parks and Recreation, the loser friend of the Indian guy. But Anthony doesn't have that curly hair or that small of a chin. So I just in defense of Anthony.
or that big of a black eye.
Oh yeah, that's true. I've never gotten a black eye actually.
I definitely much preferred the guy who gave him the black eye over that.
Dude, yeah.
Right off the bat, Chief Hopper, favorite character of the show.
Oh, thank you so. I was
Chief
gonna
Hopper.
say.
I identify with Chief Hopper. He's my favorite.
Did anyone else get the impression? I was telling this to you, Irish, when we first started talking about it. But when the show first started off in the very first episode, I got this strong impression after the first episode. I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna be an asshole.
Like he would be the guy who
he'd be
everything up.
He'd be the guy who screws everything up, and he'd probably die in the fourth episode.
They set him up to be the alcoholic police officer.
But then you find out about how he lost a daughter, and all of a sudden he's this guy who all he cares about is finding this kid, and he starts believing all the crazy stuff out of Winona Ryder's mouth, and all of a sudden they find out it's real, and
as a human being, to think that kind of person is in charge of
law enforcement,
he's being paid to take care of problems your personal problems. I'd much rather have that than the other characters you see in cop specific shows.
Yeah.
I really liked that his character said
it kept it real.
He's going to do what he knows is right, and he's not going to, this guy told me I can't do that, so I'm going to have to fill out this paperwork. No, he just gets it done.
He punched through probably 15 guys in that whole freaking show.
It's a good thing they set him up to be a pretty big guy, because he's definitely 250 at least.
They hit a couple of things with his character, he had his own backstory, and you don't really hear the details about it until the search party scene.
Yeah, remember the teacher is talking to him?
Yeah. And kind of gets it all out there and stuff, and by the way, Mr. Clark is a beast. He's a beast.
Which one is Mr. Clark?
He was the teacher they kept calling, hey, how do you make a cryogenic tank?
Their science teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Every kid needs a teacher who's
dedicated.
And
then he made the pool.
They can call him in the middle of the night.
Well, he was the one that put the idea of what upside down is, and where he drew it on the paper, and then he folded it and he poked a hole through it, and it was if you didn't understand what was going on, it kind of put a little perspective there. And right off the bat, I got the idea of it could be another dimension. But as far as like what it resembled, it almost looked like limbo, like what people describe as limbo, that between heaven and hell.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but it is another dimension.
Oh no, I know it is. I'm saying like it had the feel of it was like death, but not death. And then when they quote found Will's body in that river, I was like, or in that quarry, I was like, oh my God, is it limbo? Huh. Like, did he die? And then, like, is the creature like a death creature or something like that?
At that point.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know he's still alive. We know that he's still communicating at that point. So that really left it open. Like, where is this?
Yeah. Where is he communicating?
Is this heaven or something? Or is this like where is this communication coming
from? See,
from?
what kind of prevented me from so limbo is actually a very interesting way to put it, because even what I'm about to say could still prove that that's true. But what kind of kept me from believing, I knew he wasn't dead. I guess that's the best way to put it. I knew he wasn't dead because he said, well, first of all, I think she asked at one point to the lights, when she had all the lights up, like, are you alive? And he said yes. And then she said, are you safe? He said no. And then she says, where are you? And I love that he says, I'm here. I'm here. And I love the fact that what I am seeing, like
I wrote down exactly the question.
I am right here.
Right? Did I have it right? Did I have it right?
Hold on.
I think he's right. He said, I am right here.
No, I think he just said, I don't know if he said right here.
Well, his responses were really, really short because
I think it was just here.
He's working with the alphabet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to touch on that while you look up your notes.
Well, hang on.
I wanted to touch on the fact, like, if you were a mother and you lost your child.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, what she went through, like,
would you not do the same thing?
You think she's crazy, right? But if you lose your child, you will do that. You will, if you think there's a chance that he's talking to you through the lights, you're going to set that same thing up.
I believe just about anything I saw.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kudos to the realism of the show. Like, anyone who's a parent will say, like, I would do that too. If I thought for a second my kid was talking to me through the lights, I would go get some Christmas lights and set up ABCs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what I was going to say was, what I thought was so interesting is the way that they set up. I think I said this before the podcast started, so I don't think I'm repeating. Yeah. We just. I love the fact that what they did with this parallel universe, which I guess isn't unusual for when that aspect of sci-fi is brought in. They really brought such a close to home, like, a parallel universe is this universe, but in another plane of existence. So yes, Earth would be right where Earth is, but it's a different Earth, blah blah blah. But they really brought it to you with when the walls started going black and like, then that stuff started growing or grew out, and like, just, it was so cool to see, like, wow, this is right here. This is like, I mean, the thing is coming out of my wall because he is right there. He might not be here in this plane, but he is standing 2 feet away from me, trying to punch through to my reality. I mean, it was so amazing.
I like how they set up how the world transitions. How the world opens, and it doesn't quite make sense to me because at first we see, and maybe you guys can explain this. At first we see that she created the original opening with her psychic power, but somehow this beast is able to almost create openings just because he sees something that he wants to get
I was gonna touch on that. So let me give my theory, because obviously there was no clear answers. So I think she opened up the door, and he came through that door and then discovered ways to get back. Obviously, he has the capability of opening and closing.
I mean, he's got to be somewhat powerful because she was able to hear him.
He has limitations. He has limitations, but I agree with Irish's theory, quote unquote, because I've done a lot of research, and that's the very common one. Is once she touched him, the minute that she poked him, that was the door opening, and so in a sense, the
door is between them.
Yes, and that's why they both.
Part. I don't think.
Okay.
case. I think she touched him, and because of her abilities, he felt it, and he was reacting to the feeling of being touched. He couldn't. I don't think he saw her.
No, until he touched
look at it like
that,
because you remember before she saw him, she was like right up on a Russian dude, and he was just yakking,
yeah.
and she was right up on him. But I mean, if she would have touched his hand, I'm sure he would have been like, "The heck was that?" But I think because it's not a human being, it's not a being per se, it's a monster. She poked it, and it reacted to the poke, turning around, preparing to, four lips slap a dude.
Oh yeah, opening up like the alien egg and swallowing her.
Well, to say that a monster isn't a being is, I mean, it's its own being, like an insect.
I'm saying, like, it's not human-esque. It has a human-looking body, but it wasn't. It's it's more of an animal than a human. Yeah. So it gets poked and it reacts to that, and I think it doesn't see anything, and her fear of it. I mean, we obviously learned from the show that being in that tank like heightened and amplified her abilities to unbelievable moments. So her fear and her screaming.
And that tank was a real thing, believe it or not.
Yeah, it is. I forget what they call it, but it's when the water temperature is exactly the same as body temperature. So it's 98.6.
It's about,
and you're floating in nothing.
You feel nothing. You're literally weightless, and you don't feel cold or hot. And it's a meditation chamber or something with
that. It's something like that. I do want to say, I love. Okay, I'm not sure if this was intentional or not. You'd have to ask the writers, directors, whatever. But the amount of connections between this specific species of creature and the alien from Alien. Do you remember the cockroaches that came out of Barb's dead body, or possibly dead body, we should say, because I'm thinking.
Oh no, she's dead. She's
dead.
No,
hang on.
Dude, half of her body.
Hold on. I'm not saying dead, not dead as in alive. I'm saying, I think she's being used to create an egg.
Yeah.
Or being So remember at
they weren't
Sigourney Weaver.
Slugs more than cockroaches.
Sorry, I meant slugs, dude. I don't know why I said cockroaches. You're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
So at the very last scene of the episode, God, I hope no one is listening to this who hasn't watched it. But when that boy walks, what's his name again?
Will.
When Will goes in the bathroom, and he has this flash of the upside down, and all of a sudden he coughs up a slug. That slug, I believe, is actually there. And I think that's the reason why this thing is going to continue on. I think those quote-unquote slugs are, say, what somehow become
creatures.
That being that was in the parallel universe, or the upside down.
I agree. I also wanted to say that I got the feeling, and I might be totally off here, I got the feeling that creature that they experienced in the upside down, that he was actually, or she, we don't know. I felt like they were adolescent.
Possibly.
I don't feel like it was a fully grown one, and I think like that might be something that comes up. One of the things I love about the show is that where they leave it, those characters can literally just walk away and the show can continue. Like maybe when that kid's in college, or there's so much.
What was the sheriff's name?
Hopper.
There's so much that can develop in the next season.
There's a couple of things that happen in the show that obviously don't get explained because it's a cliffhanger-ish. Mm-hmm. When they drop Will off at the hospital, Hopper leaves the hospital and he gets picked up.
Yeah.
I've been calling them the agency. Mm-hmm. The suits basically.
Not a bad name.
The energy department.
Oh yeah, dude. I have names for all of them, by the way. The three kids and Elle, I call them the crew.
The crew.
And then I've called.
I like that.
When Winona, Hopper, Jonathan are together, I call them the gang, and that way I can differentiate them in my mind of like who's with them.
Would have gotten away with it if it wasn't.
Well, the crew's with the gang right now, but they're about to solve this thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like in my notes, you'll see I'm like crew and gang coming together, and then parentheses, hell yeah, and so the moment. There's one moment in my notes. If you guys, it's worth like I sent pictures to Urban of like the first 3 episodes, but I have the rest that I have to send. Oh, so the moment that he stabs that fake body, my wife couldn't watch it obviously because we have children.
Imagine if he was wrong though. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what she was. So 2 things. When he first got in there,
that's why that man had
his reaction made me think, like, oh snap. But when he pulled his knife back out, I was fully anticipating seeing like an alien colorish blood.
Me too.
Almost like they morphed, like, or like because at that time you still didn't know anything about the creature, so I'm like, did they make this thing?
I actually thought I was gonna see I thought when he started pulling stuff out, I was gonna see fake innards. Like they had actually tried to make them look real, but it was obviously it's red still or something.
It's the '80s. They figured out the mold. They just couldn't figure out the
so they just stuffed it.
And my notes described the scene, and then parentheses, I was like, effing seriously?
Who's gonna create a fake body and actually fill it?
And then
if you're gonna go that
dress
far.
it and then throw it in a quarry. Somebody was responsible for that. And oh my god, the Hopper scenes when he's trying to get information. He's beating the mess out of some dude behind a bar, and then the guy looks over, sees a car, and he looks back. He goes, "Who was that? Who was that? Why are they looking at me?" And he pulls out his gun and just starts aiming at him. I'm like, "Whoa, Hopper!"
So
chill.
Does anyone want to comment on
There's some crazy shit going on.
Very last scene where Hopper walks up. So we all know Eleven's not dead.
Elle's totally alive.
Yeah, Eleven's alive, and I loved that scene. It was so sweet because. He goes to this box in the middle of the forest, and he gives her what? Her favorite food, which is
Eggo waffles.
Eggo waffles, yeah.
That scene, by the way, I thought was
feel like
huge for her.
She banished herself to the.
I don't think she's
gone, man.
I think she's in the upside down. I think she's in there, to try and hold other things back. But it's all speculation at this point.
Yeah.
Here's two things that I think are gonna get brought up. Well, let me talk about the actual season we're on right now. So there was the scene where she goes into the store and just starts taking waffles. I thought that, to me personally, I felt like that was a scene where she's owning who she is, owning her powers, and being like, you know what? When she looks at that dude and she's like, mouth breather, and then takes the Eggos and just dips. I'm like, yes, dude. She has arrived. It was that moment. That was a kind of a foreshadowing moment where she took control of the situation and was like, I'm not going to starve. This is stupid. If they come at me, I'll just... And, they're gone. And she, walks away and slams the doors in the dude's face. And it was, it kind of... You see it again at the end of the show when she steps... Which, by the way, I have proof. Urban, you can look at my notes. At the bottom of my first episode notes, I put Elle versus Alien, because I didn't know if it was what it was at the time. Huh. But I put that out there I hope this happens.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, there it is. It's boom boom, and I love the way they did it, where it
did
made
you
it look
like
the
that
kid's
last
slingshot.
Yes.
Did the damage, and it turns out.
Yeah, I like that too.
Turns out she's the one holding it back.
I was like, was it that rock they picked up?
Well, dude, he rolled a 12, man. He rolled a 12. He got full damage. I mean, come on.
That'd have been great
if they ran out of rocks and
the only thing they had was that.
He did roll a 12.
No, but I would like to know, they'll probably never talk about it, but I'd like to know if she controlled the rock or if she controlled the creature.
I don't. I mean,
that's too specific.
See,
I doubt they'll ever.
I think if you rewatch
it, that's a cool thought, though.
I think if you rewatch it, you might agree that it wasn't the rock. The rock was there just to give you that emotional thing, oh my god, did this kid really just somehow? But no, I think her nose was bleeding. She was holding back the creature, and then that's what that's what I believe. And if you watch it again, you might find that you feel the same way. I think the rock was just there to signify that, oh my god, these kids are totally about to get their asses. They're about to die, dude. They're about to get killed.
The way I interpreted it was that she came, she reacted at just the right moment.
Exactly.
And it looked as if the rock was
and the kids
doing
believed that, but then they turned around and they were like, oh my god, 11 is back. Or Elle, sorry, Elle.
Well, I mean,
Elle is short for 11.
Technically, her name is Jane.
What?
Really?
Yeah, she's the daughter
that
got
hit. That's right.
Well, no, she's the fake daughter. She's not actually her.
She is the daughter of Tamara Ives, or Tanya Ives.
Who named her Jane?
No, that's still under speculation.
No, that's
Wasn't
her.
it?
I mean, we can say it's speculation, but
I
feel like it was pretty obvious too.
Watch the episode again when they're talking to her sister, because I can't remember. Ives is her last name. The woman doesn't speak anymore.
Yeah.
So her sister was like, yeah, she was going on and on about them taking her baby and that the baby was special. It had powers. And Hopper goes, like, what? What powers? and she was like, telekinesis, like, mind control stuff,
Anthony's right, though. They haven't actually proven.
I mean, I don't know. I just thought
they haven't come out and said it yet, but I mean, like, they left it on the table, like.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so used to shows ending up showing you that they were just crazy, but there is something else going on that I don't know. I was just skeptical.
Well, anyway,
but you could be right, yeah.
Something I was talking about for the future
was one of those.
Yeah. Something for the future was, first of all, that scene where Will kind of flashes in and out.
Yeah,
I genuinely believe that by season 2, he's going to learn to control that. I think that's a power.
Control it or be infected?
No. I think he's fine. I think that presence of that creature.
Be a positive character, not an infected character.
I'm saying, I think that the presence of that thing in his body gave him the capability that the creature had of coming in and out.
Oh.
So I'm thinking in season 2, he's going to be able to. He's going to figure out how to control that.
I like that.
And that's why I don't think Elle is dead.
Well, Elle's definitely not dead.
No, because when she did the thing on the wall, I think she has the ability that if another being has powers, she can take them. So I think she's doing. I think she's doing what the creature did, which is like boom and go out. I think her powers have we've just hit the tip of the iceberg.
I think she was able to do that on her own. I don't think she took that power. I think she gained that power, and now she has.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like she can now do it. That's why you didn't see her at the end. I think she can come in and out.
She can read a mind and then learn how to learn how to do those tricks like I could learn how to fix a car by reading a book, right? So
can you though?
No, I can't because I haven't read that book. But what I'm saying is she did.
What's a book?
What our book?
Nice.
No, the show.
I wanted to say this whole time that I felt like I saw a connection to fairy world, like the Upside Down is the same connection to the old school thought of fairy world and Celtic lore, not necessarily other things.
True Blood.
I drew that connection when they first started talking about the Upside Down. But I mean, kind of off topic.
A weird realm, when they're in there, their voices are echoed. There's that floaty crap all over the place, but it's these. There's other than the creature, there's other things going on there. Whatever they yanked out of Will's mouth, that was a thing. That was another creature. And then obviously the slugs, and it almost makes you wonder: was the creature that was causing all the chaos, was that even the big dog?
That's what I meant. It seemed adolescent. It did not seem like it didn't seem like it had control over its universe.
Can we all agree that thing looked so badass?
That was really good graphics for a TV show.
But just the design of the creature itself, it
almost flower face.
It almost looked humanoid until it turned around and opened its face up at you, and it's just I'm leaving. Bye.
I love the scene where Jonathan and Nancy try to trap him in the bear trap, and Steve comes in with the bat after being a big puss.
It just came in and picked up the bat.
Then he goes professional baseball. He spun the bat around and hit it again, and then it was.
I got to be honest. I hated that character. I can't believe the way it ended. Her still being with him. Really.
Yeah, I mean that's another sign that there's going to be another season.
Maybe he became a better guy, but.
Well, I mean, you remember he wiped off Nancy's a slut off the.
Yeah, well, and he dropped his loser friends who were being assholes. I mean,
he did kind of. He had some good character development. He had a good arch, but I think that scene, everyone feels that. You're not the only one who feels that watching that show, and I think that's because it's kind of inevitable that that's going to be one of the things that when they wrap up all the seasons all together, that girl ends up with the guy you think she should end up with.
Because I liked the brother's name. Oh God, Jonathan. I liked him a lot. He was this quiet, but then when it mattered, he was all there.
We were just talking about how he went professional baseball on that beast, but then when they told him you need to go, he didn't all of a sudden man up and say, no, I'm staying, I'm gonna help. He got in his car and he left. Okay, and that's probably why we're all thinking he's not why is she still with him? Because he saw some crazy shit and he ran.
Bitch boy
and he
blue,
didn't say no,
horn.
you need to come with me. He said, yeah, okay, I'll leave. He ran.
That was the funny. Like when he first got there, he's like, "Did he do this?" Like he was getting all tough guy, and then all of a sudden this thing comes out of the ceiling, and he like loses it, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" Like okay, so the scene when they're in the bedroom and they're behind the door and they're waiting for it to come through, and it actually just leaves. It doesn't. It kind of catches on that it's trying to be trapped.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping so badly because the way the camera angle was working, it was focusing on Jonathan and Nancy with Steve kind of blurry in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping so badly that thing would just come through the roof and yank him
in the background.
Oh my god!
But because that didn't happen, you're gonna be happier like in season 8 or let's hope.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Steve will develop into a really good
stand-up guy.
But I mean, I'll say that I'll defend him in this aspect. And by the way, all my notes, 8 pages, I don't talk about that dumb high school relationship crap at all.
Yeah, that's
all that is filler.
Yes,
so that
exactly,
they can push the show out to 8 episodes. Like that's
it's
all
also to pull in an audience of high schoolers.
The girls. Yeah. The girls.
Yeah, the girls. It's true. Sorry, ladies. It's true.
I'll say this: as far as like a connection standpoint with him and Nancy, like there were moments there where you're like, oh, I guess Steve's not too big.
Yeah,
He almost has a Mark Ruffalo feel to him.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah.
Wait. But, who's Mark Ruffalo?
Like,
the guy who plays the Hulk.
He'll make somebody a happy wife or whatever, But
well, that was another scene that like I loved was the moment they're in the woods, Nancy and Jonathan are, and she's like, what shocking, how dare I think that you're more than just some pervert with a camera, and he's like, how dare I think that you're someone who's not going to be, another prototypical nuclear family wife who marries her high school sweetheart and ends up having kids and just, stays in the relationship because it's easier. I'm just like, Jonathan just laid the pipe.
Had some good insights. I agree.
Yeah. It was. I mean, and she even talks about it before he makes that comment.
That's why he was able. That's why it's hit.
Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah. She talks about her mom and dad, how she's like, I don't think they've been in love for a long time. And because back then in the 80s, man, I've talked to plenty of my own family members, they'll attest to that, man. Back then, if you got married and had kids, you just stayed together. There was no, love was irrelevant back then. And that generation that came from that was like, I don't want to live that life. That sounds so horrible. And the show touches on it, and I love the variety of topics within the show, even though the show is about this sci-fi thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's about life too.
Yeah, it's life in the 80s mixed with this sci-fi story, mixed with this like reminiscent feeling where you feel like, man, I didn't grow up in the 80s, but I miss the 80s. I was like, I was born in 90. Like what the?
I got that feeling. Like imagine not having a cell phone all the time.
Right.
And,
that was the
and it's a relaxing
thing.
feeling. It's a relaxing feeling. I'm not going to get bugged, but I mean, when that Alien comes out, I'm sure all those characters want it. Or Alien. You guys know what I mean.
Yeah,
I don't
want to call it Alien because it's not necessarily from another
dimension.
My all 4 pages of the first half of that, I called it Alien. I kept calling it Alien, and then all of a sudden I switched and started calling it Creature. Just like I didn't know what Winona Ryder's character's name was until the last episode.
Mom.
But look, they say her name plenty of times. I miss it.
Just
and
then
finally
Mrs.
in the 8th episode, they were like, "Where's Hopper?" And they were like, "Oh, she's with Joy." And I'm like, or he's with Joy. I'm like, "Oh, okay, her name's Joy." And then from
go back through my notes and write
there's like 2 little notes at the end of episode 8 where I'm like, Joy and Will are talking.
Capital, all caps, Joy.
Yeah. And so no, it's just like for like literally most of my notes it says like Hopper and Winona. Like I just because I didn't feel like trying to listen for 3 letters.
That's funny.
But no, it's a. I truly enjoyed the show in that it doesn't feel like it could have an ending. Like it could go on. There's so many things you can do.
Well,
you turn it into an apocalyptic show? Do you turn it into
just go into the next dimension and make a whole show out of that?
Oh my god, yeah. I
mean, what
if
if a couple of characters just went into the next dimension and had to survive there, and then they found another dimension? Like when you open up a dimension in one show, then there's endless possibilities.
Even bigger than that. Are there other dimensions?
That's what I'm saying. Like if they went into that next dimension and then opened up another, like there's literally endless possibilities because we just watched a show where
they have to be careful
opened up another dimension.
They can't make it because you'll eventually just turn
then
into
it's just Doctor Who. Yeah.
So they got to be careful with that because it's like.
No, I'm just saying that there's those possibilities. I think it's better if they stick within just the 2. but they could have like a whole season.
I'd be willing to throw a third in there if it's just temporary, like maybe for a couple episodes or something where like maybe they meet themselves.
Come on, guys, you're getting way too abstract right now. I don't like that. I like the fact that they need to focus on this one specific, very strange, unknown universe that I think there's plenty of development to have there. That's what a good show is about.
That's what I'm saying. Like
building
there could be, like maybe season 3. There's some of the main characters, including Elle and Will, are like stuck in that dimension and surviving, like camping out, in that dimension. Like that would be cool. But I agree. Like going into multiple dimensions that's a whole nother thing. That's not what I want to see from this show. But,
well, let me say real quick, just a quick shout out to the guys who directed and wrote this show is the Duffer Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They have a feature film called Hidden from 2015, but also they wrote 4 episodes of Wayward Pines.
Oh, really? That's cool. I love that show.
You kind of get this, you kind of feel it in the show a little bit. You're like, because it's horror, drama,
kind of eeriness.
Yeah. And I as far as like the feel of the show, you kind of can see the connections between it of like how Wayward Pines, you had this mystery the whole time of what is this town, etc., etc. And with this, it's like, where's the kid? What was that thing? And then obviously you go further and you realize what's going on.
Well, and you essentially don't get anything until the last step. I mean, you don't get a real grasp.
You get bits and pieces.
Exactly.
Like bits and pieces through the whole, and it's just.
I had to figure out that Will wasn't gone forever. That's like what got me. That's why I had to watch it in one sitting.
Dude, like I said, at one point, I just figured when I saw Barb die, I was like, all right, well, this kid is dead. He's got to be dead.
And when I saw Barb die, I was like, oh shit, does that mean Will's dead?
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an issue. Like, obviously, it's nitpicking at this point. I mean, when your show is that good, that I have to the only thing I can say negatively is like how you handled one thing. Like, your show's amazing. So let me just preface that. But the whole Barb scene when she's bleeding.
The pool or underground?
The pool.
Okay.
So when she's like sitting there, and then all of a sudden, she's in the other thing. I was at first I was like, oh crap. All right, well, they're not gonna explain what happened here. And then all of a sudden they're showing her in this other round, like sitting in the same pool, and you're just like, what the hell is this place? And then the only problem I had was they spent like 15 seconds of her just running around the pool
like an idiot. By the way, can I just say one thing to make me sound like an idiot, which I'm sure will be great for you, but I didn't realize that it was the pool in the other universe.
I mean, she climbs up on the ladder of the pool, and you're just like, wait, that's a pool.
I was more focused when I first watch it. I was not even paying attention to the surroundings because I still wasn't really realizing that there is here just in a different there,
Yeah.
And so I didn't even notice that. So that's a really good point. Like when she's running around freaking out, she's just running around the pool.
I'm saying, but my beef with that is, what is the creature doing in that moment?
See, no, that's what.
He's just standing?
No. That goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's kind of like the alien from Alien. They take and not necessarily kill and eat, but they're using the bodies to create these slugs.
He means during the chase. Like what?
Well, that's
just. Is he just watching her run around the pool, like entertaining himself? Like,
I wish they would have shown that. I would have been so happy.
They were just like twiddling his fingers as she.
No. Even better than that is she's running around the pool and he's just sitting on the edge of the pool, like kicking his feet back and forth. Like, I'll wait.
Yeah, I'll wait till you're done. Hey, it's easier to catch non-moving food than it is to catch moving food. So.
Yeah, and you're a big and you'll get tired.
Yeah, exactly. Your name's Barb. You were meant to die. All right.
Oh my god! But no, I felt bad for her, man, because I was like,
well, she was a good friend. Like she was a good sweet character.
I will say when they revealed her death, like you kind of felt it, like
you wanted them both to be saved. Yeah.
Like when Elle was in her, I guess we'll call it like a thought realm, and she saw it, you just were like, oh my god, what a horrible way to go, because like you could see like half of her right side was like eaten up. And then, like, obviously her face, and then the slug came out of her mouth, looked like her tongue.
Yeah, I had to rewind that the very first time I watched it because I thought her tongue was bugging out.
Yeah.
Like a blacked tongue was just
like if you're dead, I'm pretty sure your tongue doesn't come out. Like, and but no, it was a sad moment because definitely she's, you know, obviously Elle's English and communication skills isn't all there as far as from an English standpoint. So of course she says gone, and you kind of pay Panda Nancy, and you feel that pit for her because you know it. To be honest, it's her fucking fault. One
thing that got me is we see like one scene where there's they say Barb's missing to the mother of Barb, and then after that, no one seems to be looking for Barb. Everybody's worried about Will.
No. There's
even their mother doesn't seem to care about Barb.
No. Oh! I just realized why. If you remember, they took over the investigation. The state troopers who are being paid by the agency
she ran away or something.
Yeah, they moved her car to the bus stop, from Steve's house to the bus stop. Like, they went out of their way to make it a runaway case, and it was the state troopers who were paid by the agency. They did the same thing with the quarry, where they quote found Will's body or put it there, and then and the guy says he's like, make sure nobody gets close to the body, to obviously let them know.
And that's exactly why Hopper was like, I gotta get close to this body.
Yeah. And like even the scenes when he started like bugging out, like after he had gotten in there and seen the opening, and he wakes back up in his own house. Which another thing, I'm just like, why would they not kill him? They shot the dude at the restaurant.
Oh yeah, I hated that, by the way. I love that guy, and they killed him so easily.
I just don't get why. Like they killed.
Yeah, why would they say? Maybe because it's like, what if the sheriff dies? Then you've got the kind of attention you don't want on the town. Maybe that's my only.
That's true.
Reason. Like if a sheriff dies, that's a big deal. We got to elect a new sheriff. All this stuff needs to happen, and you're gonna have the whole state looking on, not just these fake state troopers or whatever that are involved.
So guys, guess what time it is?
Yeah, it's been over an hour.
No, I mean, that's so great. I mean, we could literally continue going on and on and on and on about this, but I think we might want to wrap it up. So, Irish, do you have any final comments you want to say about any of these shows, including Stranger Things?
Well, let's start here. If you don't have a Netflix subscription, get out of that rock you're hiding under right now. Go get a Netflix subscription.
What is it, like $8?
Yeah, something like that. Watch Orange is the New Black. Watch Stranger Things. Watch, if you were a fan of Arrested Development and you watched it and you were like, man, they made another season, go watch that. Watch Daredevil. Watch Jessica Jones. Get caught up on these shows because this is the future of television. Period.
Yeah, I would just like to
be where TV goes moving forward.
I agree, but there'll be other outlets, and I'd like to say that get Netflix, but be careful who you share your password with. Whose password you put when you visit your friend, don't put your password into his PlayStation, because if he logs into it, that's a federal prison sentence now, which is ridiculous. But it's just something you need to be concerned about.
Yeah, so keep your Netflix to yourself.
That's right. Just encourage your friend to download Netflix. Don't put your password in. So a federal sentence for $8 a month. Yeah.
I'll just have to say, if you don't want to pay for Netflix, you can always private message me on YouTube, and I'll hook you up with a website that'll blow your mind. You don't have to pay a cent.
Way to give the FBI a reason to bird monetize.
Hey, I didn't break any laws, buddy. I just.
You just flirted with piratism.
Actually, no. What I do is not illegal. Streaming what other people post is not illegal. Now, if I downloaded and hosted it, that's illegal.
Keep
talking.
I said puppies and kittens.
This is going to be edited, right?
Great as pets, kittens and puppies. They are.
All right, wrap this thing up, Dow.
All right, well, this has been the end of the Netflix and Chill episode. Feeler, I'm glad you were able to join us despite the complications with your computer. And Irish, I'm sure I'll see you soon on the next episode.
I'll be on the next episode.
On the next episode.
And go watch those Netflix shows. See you out. Peace out, ladies.
Peace.